I feel like it's one of my mission. If people don't care about it, I have to make people care about it. That's my mission. I really care about my parents and my grandparents. I really spend a lot of time with them. I spend quality time with them. But I see a lot of other elderly people are not really lucky like that. So one of my mission is that if they don't care, I have to involve them. I have to somehow like tell them that you should care before you regret. Like I don't want to regret in anything. I don't want to wait until my grandfather passed away and then I regret that I didn't spend time with him. Like I don't feel like we should wait. Our mission is that we have to make the elderly life better.
Hey everyone, I'm Dean Long, the host of Lifeline Podcast, where we are going to have deep conversations with changemakers from all around the world, working hard every day to make the world a better place. My guests share about their journey, what impact they are having, what are the challenges, successes and lessons learned along the way, and I hope you can take away a few things from these role models and apply it to your own journey as a changemaker. If you like this episode, you can share it with 2 of your friends, put a 5-star review or comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or YouTube, and of course subscribe to receive every episode and continue learning from all these role models. Alright, let's get started with today's episode and I hope you enjoy. In today's episode, you will meet Thuy Anh Ngo, who is a 4-time social entrepreneur from Vietnam on a mission to support kids and elderly to enjoy a healthy and fulfilling life. After she refused an extremely high-paying job at Wall Street, she came back to Vietnam to launch ALIGO Kids, a platform that has taught key life skills and child sexual abuse prevention through educational cartoons for over 70,000 children and families. Working with so many families, she also realized that while children have so many opportunities and are constantly exposed to new technologies, the elderly are left behind. Thuy Anh and her team then distributed smartphones and conducted digital literacy workshops for thousands of elderly, and it quickly evolved to become HASU, an app helping the elderly to take care of their mental health, physical health, and social relationships that has been used by over 12,000 people to date. She shares how she has identified the issues that she really cares about and how it has evolved over the years, and how it has translated into her co-founding 4 different social enterprises, ALIGO Kids and HASU of course, but also ALIGO Media and Memory Love Books that you will discover in this episode. Her work and impact was recently awarded by Forbes Only Under 30 in Vietnam and by Samsung UNDP Generation 17, who made her a global ambassador. I hope you enjoy this episode and talk soon. Cool. Hi Thuy Anh. Welcome to Lifeline. I'm so happy to have you today. We haven't spoken for a long time, face to face. We do send messages to each other from time to time. But anyway, I'm so happy. I always start by reminding how I know my guests. And in our case, we were actually colleagues for a few months when you were at UNDP Vietnam. And since then we kept in touch. But I think we were all, me included and everyone, were all always impressed. I mean, the first thing that people told us when they introduced you, like, hey, we have this new colleague coming. She is the founder and CEO of 3 startups, 3 impact startups. And we're like, huh? So I think today I would ask you a lot of questions on like your journey, of course, but also about, the 3 different things that you are doing with your 3 startups, what is your vision with the 3 of them, what problem are you addressing with the 3 of them. Anyway, I have so many questions. I tried to read so many articles about you. I read your entire LinkedIn profile and I discovered so many things actually that I didn't know. Anyway, let's get started. Would you like to introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, what are you doing these days, and just, anything that you want to share to start?
Okay, so hi, I'm Thuy Anh, And people can call me Jennifer because I used to live in the US for like 2-3 years. So people call me Jennifer over there. Like I'm 27 years old and turning 28 in the next 15 days. Actually, so not lots of people say that I'm not too young anymore, and I'm kind of like feel kind of a little bit old right now. So, but I'm still happy with the progress. Like I finished my MBA in 2017, and then came back to Vietnam and started like 4 projects divided in 3 companies.
Cool. Then we'll have time to go through everything.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe. So if I'm not wrong, the 4 projects that you are speaking about and which are all alive, one is Memory Love Book, ALIGO Kids, ALIGO Media, and HASU.
Yes.
Maybe could you just start by sharing briefly, like what are the 4 projects about?
Oh, I didn't share with you that I'm still single, right? So if there is like a guy like 30 something hearing this podcast, or happy to reach out.
Yeah, it's perfect. We record the video so they can actually see you.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Like actually in 2016 or 17, at that time I was in the US. And I spent lots of time learning online, and I learned a lot of course, like in Coursera, in the LinkedIn, and a lot of other sites. And at the time I was like, why do I like learn online so much over here? But meanwhile in Vietnam, like for 22 years, I didn't learn anything like online really in Vietnam, and I feel like it's kind of like something is missing out. So I started with the online stuff. I want to do something like create an online learning platform, and I began with research. And at that time in Vietnam, there were like 3 startups that teach people like adults really like great skills, but at that time they were like not really like not so many platform that teach skill for kids. So I wanted to dig down deeply, like more deeply inside this industry, and then I found out that the parents here really wants kids to learn English, so there are like thousands of English course over there. But to really learn how to protect themselves from the society and from the danger out there, there were not so many. And I was kind of like, it feels like at that time, you know, when I read the newspaper, there were so many accidents and so many sexual abuse cases in Vietnam. And the kids and even the parents don't know how to react, and they kind of avoid talking about that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something about the issues. And what I did first was that I went all the way to the North New York to see a very like world famous author, and she write the best book ever about to teach kids how to protect themselves. And because she has okay, I will not talk about it here, I think, because I may send her the link, but she was really impressive, and she gave me a lot of confidence and passion to move on and work within this industry. So I went back to Vietnam and then started the first project and teach the kids how to protect themselves and teaching soft skill. And the first course ever was the sexual abuse prevention course in Vietnam. And it was pretty successful because because at least like we touched kind of over, I think 60,000 kids and the families, and we went to school, we distributed through an online platform. And we also, like, later when we struggle with the online platform, and then we change it to the audio type and the book type, and it went pretty well. So that was my first startup with ALIGO Kids. And then because we have the team to produce cartoon, and they are really good at that. So the education publishing house started to contact us, and then offer, like, do you want to, make a cartoon for us, or make at that time it was the electric books, right? Like online books. Okay, it's called online book. So we made cartoon and the books for them, and then we started to reach out to more clients, like Honda or some other government partners, and then we produce cartoon for them, and mostly it's feature the social issues here, and teach people skill how to overcome difficulties. So that's basically my second startup about. It's more like an agency. It's like a cartoon agency. So this is my second. And my third was actually started from the second. Okay, so I'm trying to make it short.
No, we have a lot of time, huh?
Okay. And my third project is one of the projects that I love the most. It's related to my grandfather. Like 10 years ago, my grandfather was just, he was sick, and he stayed at home. He spent a lot of time at home. And he only felt happy when somebody came and talked to him. But I can only come like 3 times a week. That's the best that I could do, because I have to go to school and my parents have to go to work. So I only have like 3 times a week with him. But his stories is always incredible. So that's why one day I told him, why don't you write a book? Just, you don't have to publish it. You can write it for the family. And then together we wrote a book. And, it was the first time that my family really understand him. Like we know that he always loved the family and he sacrificed a lot, but there are so many things that we didn't know before. And a very sad thing is that on the day that we published the book, he passed away, like on the same day. So in the first 49 days after he passed away, all my family sat down together and read the book. And we felt something that we never felt before. And I could see that the last 5 months that he spent to write the book was the best time ever for him. And he always feel passion, he always feel love, and he always feel something very positive. And he didn't really feel the sickness. So that's what I'm always feel happy about. So that's why I really want to spread that passion to other families, because I really understand the feeling. Because there's so many things that you cannot buy with money, like memory is one of the things. So we come out later, like years later, I try to do something for other family as well by helping other family write books. And not only elderly people, but also mothers can write for the children, or the kids can write for the parents, or the wife and husband can write for each other. Like anybody can write to each other. So it's a very meaningful project to us. And I remember every single members in our project, the employee, they are really passionate about it, because one person lost his mother, and he regret like not doing something for his mother before she passed away. And another person really care about the family, but she has to live separately from the family for a long time. So to us, like, the project was really meaningful. So that is the third one. And the fourth one, the final one, is HASU. Actually the startup that I really spent a lot of time and love and all the passion for it. It's a platform for elderly. Why the reason why I came up with the platform for elderly is that still, like old story with my grandfather. He was the first one. A very funny thing is that he was the first one who taught me how to use computer. So nowadays we think, old people cannot use technology. No, we are wrong. Like 20 something years ago, he taught me how to use computer. And at that time I was so afraid to, even close the game. I thought I broke the computer. Like, I was so afraid at that time. But he really showed me step by step how to use computer. So I really, this day, elderly people have to be like spend a lot of time at home and live separately from the outside world, and they are lonely. Like 75% of them spend more than 6 hours. I remember the statistic, like on TV, and that's the only thing they can do, like at home. And they hardly have time to talk to other people, like the family. It's pretty like far away. It's kind of like distance. We can feel the distance between the generation within the family. So from that, I felt like they need more. Attention from the society. But the problem is why, how we could do the project, how we could do something for them. And then at first, I didn't really think about an application or anything. I was just, going out there and started with the class to teach elderly people how to use smartphone. So that was a start. And then we did a lot of survey and experience, and we experiments, and we study on their behavior. And then later we come up with the solutions. That one thing that any elderly people care of is that they want to live healthy, because when they are healthy, when I say about health, it's not really about physical health only, but according to WHO, health is the what can I say? Health is the complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being all together. It's not merely the absence of disease. So we built a platform based on the definition. Like, we want to support them to live more physically healthy, more mentally healthy, and connect with each other, like connect with the friends, family, and the society. So we believe that the platform is the solution that we came out with.
Cool! Oh my God, I love this. I have 1 million questions to ask you now, but maybe I think I love it how. Wait, is there project number 5 born from project number 4? Not yet.
Actually, yes, but okay, we will not talk about that.
Okay, it's still a secret. Okay. But we will expect project number 5. No, but I love how each project is born from the other one. I think it's super, super interesting. And how, as well, at some point, like, you are working with kids and then with elderly, but there's still a link. I mean, I find it so impressive. And also that the 4 companies that you started are still alive, right? And usually, I mean, it's difficult to keep one company alive, so 4 at the same time. And usually the stories is more like, people start a first company, it fails, second company, it fails, and then finally company number 4 like is alive. So interesting. We will explore HASU a bit later, because that's, I guess, the project you said where you spend the most time. Maybe just to understand, like, so 4 companies, how do you divide your time among the 4 companies?
Actually, I cannot say that all the 4 company is like fully successful, but to me, it's kind of like I feel great. I feel good. The first one is ALIGO Kids, right? So actually, we got kind of like struggle with the platform, and then actually we lost the platform. So like if we think that losing the platform is considered like failing, so actually we fail in losing the platform. But what we gain is that we still have the kids, and the project is kind of slow now, but it's not fully stopped. It's not stopping. Like we always come back to the project whenever we have the offer or we have the chance. So the book is still sold out there, and the videos still sold out there. So but in the different form, it's not a platform anymore. The reason why I spend the most of time on HASU is that all other 3 companies are like, of course I love it, but I want more people to get engaged, and I want to create something that can benefit like a lot of people. So the second one is ALIGO Media, right? Actually, it's created the most stable income for us, but to me, of course, having good income is good, because we can have money to pay for the employees and have them have a good life. But like I still expect like something more than that. Like if I produce cartoon for other companies or organizations, and then I would be biting like too much on that, and I kind of like lose the time that I actually spend to really like see further. So I always focus, and my most priority is the project that can help a lot of people, and the more people that we have, the more successful that we feel. So the scale the scale that we use the scale that we use to judge a project is successful or not is the number of people that we have, and the quality of the service or solution that we bring to their life. So that's why HASU is still the project that we spend the most of the time on. But of course, 3 other projects still work well, and we still have customer every month. But I only spend like 30% of my time on that, and we have separate team to work on other projects. So everything is okay.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's still so amazing that 80% on HASU, 20% on the other project, and they still run without you full time. For me, it's very cool. But maybe, so you mentioned a lot of, HASU is a tech company. There is an app. ALIGO Kids was an online platform, but just to, like, you don't have a tech background, right? At all.
No, I don't have tech background.
Actually, like I saw on your LinkedIn that you were among the top 5 students of Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam. Is it okay? Maybe let's start back on. Okay, maybe why? Let's start from the beginning. Why Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam? Like, why did you go there? Did you started 4 companies? Is it something you thought about when you were a child, when you were younger? And I don't know. Yeah, okay. What were your childhood dreams?
When I was a little kid, I actually went to a very good school, and
Oh my God, yes,
at that
Hanoi,
time,
Amsterdam.
and at that time I was in the math class, and I at that time I was dreaming about maybe one day I will become a professor, or like someone to study about physics or math, like that. But like later when I grow older and I really think about my life and what I want to do, kind of feel like, okay, it's gonna be great to be a professor, but it will limit the number of people that I'm gonna be in contact with. Like for example, if I teach a class and then gonna be 50 people, and then like 5 classes at the same time, it will be like 250 people, and then it's only that number. So so the values that I create will not be like spread to more. So I expect like more from myself. And then I felt like business school was not a bad idea. Like I feel like my mom like, okay, going back to the story of my mom. My mom is a very smart woman, and she's quite famous here in Vietnam. And she did a lot of things. She helped a lot of people, and she was kind of like one of the first person who brought the condom to Vietnam and then spread it out, and then she successfully promoted to have like so many families and not give birth to too many kids, for example. So after all the stuff that she did, like I really admire that. But so I went on a lot of social activity as well. So I carry books all the way from here to the mountains to establish a library for the kids. But then and then I carry food and like clothes and other stuff to people in flood area. But then my mom, like one day my mom say that you can spend time carrying the noodles to the mountainous area, but at the same time you can use and study and make a lot of money, and then you can use that money to help people, and it creates like more values. For example, like once like there will be a time in the future when you sign a check, and then it will be like who knows how many millions, even US dollars. Like I don't know. But at that time she said that you can have like millions family, not only one single family that you are carrying the food to help. So at that time I really acknowledged about having the stable financial resource can really create impact. So I really want to go to business school for the university. But then again, my mom said there are things that you can learn during the time that you work. You can learn it out there, like when you leave and when you go out there. But there are skills that you cannot have if you don't go to school. For example, if you want to be a doctor, you cannot be a doctor like by going out there helping people, like curing people. You have to go to school for it. And law is another thing. So I was like, oh yeah, like it makes sense. It made sense to me. So okay, I decided to go to law school. But then law school is kind of too technical, right? And I want to use it like with a wider purpose. So I end up choosing international law in in Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam, because at the same time I can understand about international law, like in general. I can go to any countries in the world and still be able to read the law over there, and understand about law can really like helps you in doing business, because like you have to obey the law like in any place that you go to. So it really helps. And the third thing is that it makes you feel confident to connect to more people, because in diplomatic school, right, you have to learn how to contact people, you have to learn how to speak, and you have to learn how to behave like to anyone, even if it's a normal person in another country, or is it like some very high people, even if it's president, you have to know how to behave. So it's really, I think that's one of the most brilliant thing that my mom used to say, and I always feel thanks to her for that. So okay, that's my story, how I went to Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam and have a bachelor in international law, and then have an MBA as, you know, to pursue my dream to become a business person.
So, okay, first back on when you were carrying like noodle and books, like did you do it like by yourself, or it was through a project?
Yeah. So there were so many social activity out there, and I just, you know, like join whatever that I could.
How old
Actually,
were
I've
you?
done a lot of projects as well.
How old were you when you did that?
Around 18 something,
Okay.
or even younger, like 16, around 16.
So when you were at uni, so studying international law, so what were the status of your so you still wanted to become a businesswoman when you were in diplomatic academy?
Yes.
Okay, so but like following the advice of your mom, like you will still learn business anyway, but okay, your mom had a lot of positive influence, no? Because I wanted to ask you, like, why did you want to have social impact, you know, when you were younger? Is it because you saw your mom, you know, working and having big social impact as well while you grew up, or was there another reason?
So the reason why that I always wanted to do something to help other people is that it naturally come from a lot of reasons. Like during my grown up, my mom is one of the reasons, because she always fight for the disadvantaged people, and she really did like great job for that. And when I was a kid, I just follow her to all her projects, and she works late at night. I remember sitting there in her office at late at night, but seeing her work and did all the amazing job like that made me feel like one day I want to do the same. And another reason was that my childhood was not like fully happy, but actually I feel happy now, because when I see back all my childhood, I feel kind of satisfied, because without the experience within that time, it would not be me like sitting here today. Like when I was a kid, I got beaten a lot in class, and actually I was a small girl. I didn't really talk much, so that's why I don't know. Like people, my friends didn't really like me at that time, because when I was in the first grade, I was the head of the class. Like what is the position called?
Oh yeah, like
Head of the class, the head student.
yeah, I'm not sure. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a teacher. Like she is pretty old, 60 something, like 68 years old or something. And then she made me like the head of the class, and I really love her, because you know, one day like I realized that her family is really poor, but she tried her best to give me a stuffed animal like for my birthday. Like I know that it's gonna cost like a lot of her salary at that time, but she still tried the best to make me feel happy at that time. So when I was the head of the class, and there were like bad students in my class, I was really strict. So like during the class time, I was really strict to them. And then later, like they pulled me out and then kicked me like on the schoolyard. And every day happened the same. So I got abused when I was a kid, and then later it's got to build up. I have quite a lot of unhappy moments, like in fact, and then my family as well. Like we don't have a lot of people in my family, and then we have to separate. And my teacher at the first grade, she passed away, and then I was so upset, and a 6 years old girl started to understand like how life would be when one day you have to be separate from the one that you love. So I really remember every single moment when I was a kid, and I have to face that. And later, like it made me feel like I don't want so many people have that kind of experience anymore. So that's why I want to help the kids, and I want to help the elderly people. And a lot of things happen, a lot of other reasons, but now I cannot, like tell you all the things. But that's what I'm thinking in my mind now.
Yeah, no, it's thank you for sharing. Yeah, yeah. So now I see the link with ALIGO Kids as well. Yeah, so actually all the projects you have started, it come from a personal experience, and come from really understanding. Well, it's interesting. It's come from your lived experience, but also really understanding the problem, how it affects other people, like from what I heard. So that's the best way to start projects. And maybe just back to the top 5 student. What were you always the best? Like, was it an objective to be the best, one of the best student, or is it you are like this kind of student who like always the best without really aiming for it?
I didn't really aim to be in the high positions. I didn't really think much about that. Just one thing is that when I went to Hanoi Amsterdam school, and all the kids there was genius. Like I can tell you, like I cannot describe how smart they are. And I was just a normal person in class. But then I saw a lot of students who are still the top student, and they still have a lot of time going out there and play basketball, playing video games. They're just playing all the time, and then they're still the best. So I kind of questioned myself, like how could I do that, do the same? And then the question keep developed, and then I started slowly and slowly. I naturally realized how to be to achieve the goals that I want without spending a lot of time study.
What's the secret?
Yeah. So later, I feel like they're, for example, when I write something, I'm not gonna think about the answer of it. I'm gonna think about how the teacher really expect me to answer. Like that's the way that I think. For example, within the book, there is like a key message, right? And there must be key message in everything that we read. And the author wants to deliver the most of the knowledge through the key message. So we have to catch the key message, no matter what we are doing. So in law, like especially in law, it really works because in one sentence there will be like key message, and we have to catch it. Like there will be like a very thick book, and then you can just read it and then figure out what is the key stuff, and then you remember it and then you learn it. Not like learn word by word or by heart, like all the things. It just doesn't work. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I felt like okay, it worked for my study. Of course, in math or in other physics or chemistry, it may not be the same, but in law, yes, I can tell you that catching the key message is really important.
So you found your own shortcuts. Cool. And so you graduated from diplomatic academy, and then why did you go to the US? You could have done master in Vietnam, I guess, or in Paris. But you've been to the US. Any specific reason?
Yeah. A secret is that when I was around 14 years old, I was so bad at English because I only studied math. I never thought that one day I would go abroad. I would go outside of the country. I was so scared. It's a totally different world to me. But then, one day I feel okay, the world is so huge. And I'm just, in a very small place, like my place. It's just, just a little bit, and the world's so huge. So I have to try going out there. So my mom started to put me and take me to other country, like in Asia, and then further. So I actually visit a lot of countries before I finally settled down in America. I went to Europe. I went to so many Asian countries around Vietnam. I went to Australia. I went to China. I went to Russia. And then I went to Canada. I went to the US. And then I came back. I went abroad almost every year. And I spent around a couple of weeks in each country. And then I figure out the difference between the cultural and really to come out with the decisions to study in the US. I really understand that New York is a place for me. Why? Because it's the center of economics and business of the world in New York and in Silicon Valley. But Silicon Valley is always there. But the reason why I chose New York is that just the school, and then I want to go to Wall Street, and I want everything to move fast. So that's why I went to New York, and I had the greatest time ever. And I spent really every single moment of my life in the most quality way that I can ever feel.
So when you say you want to go to Wall Street, you mean you wanted to work in, your goal back then was to work in Wall Street?
No, I want to understand how things work over there. I want to understand how the economy there can work so fast, can move so fast, and people in New York is always doing things so fast. I mean the speed. They are not waiting for anyone.
Is it?
Oh, but actually later I kind of got a offer there, but then I end up not working for them.
But yeah, you remember you told me you had this job offer somewhere in Wall Street.
Yeah.
Did you hesitate it before rejecting?
Not for a single moment, no. Every choice that I made during my whole life, I had to really think very carefully, every time I make a decision, because I don't want to regret. The most thing that you can regret is that with the people that you love and you don't have time with them and then they pass away. So that's the most, important thing that you cannot do and you don't want to regret. So from those kind of experience, and it kind of developed in me a characteristic that I don't want to regret in anything. So before doing something, I always tried my best at that time to come up with the decisions. And after that decision, I understand that that's the best that I could do at that moment. So I never look back and then never regret, because everything happened for reasons.
How do you take an important decision?
In general,
I don't know. Like, do you know? So,
yeah. In general, I think we have to go like maybe like 10 years further, and then you try to imagine myself. For example, I imagine myself 10 years later, and at that time I thought back about the past, and I try to see if I regret with that decision or not. So that's the best that I could. So every single decision, I really don't regret, even if it can make me fail in a project or it can lead to something like worse. But I always understand that it's the best decision I can make at that time.
so focusing on long-term goals rather than short-term goals. Interesting. Yeah, I really like it. It's a bit like what Linka spoke about as well in her episode. She's tried to develop her future thinking, ability, because it's not natural to think this way. We usually think in the present, like in very short term. It's difficult to think 10 years ahead and then think 10 years ahead and think back at the present, but looking at this from 10 years. So, it's a bit confusing what I said. But anyway, it's not easy it's not natural, I think, for most people. So it's I think good reminder. Okay, so you did your MBA. You have a podcast as well in Vietnamese where you mention I remember, and you told me as well, but in the US it was difficult because life in New York is so expensive. So you had to do a lot of different jobs, a lot of different things just to live your life. And then you got this big job offer. You refused to go back to Vietnam. So just so to put everything on a timeline, when you received that job offer from Wall Street, did you already have the idea of ALIGO Kids?
Yeah, actually, I already had it, but it was only like the idea, and we started to do the market research we did. But like at that time, I was kind of like consider between going back to Vietnam or staying there in America. So it was kind of confusing a little bit.
Why did you say no to Wall Street and a lot of money?
Yeah, like I feel like I'm not to really follow the trend. When I went to Hanoi Amsterdam secondary school, a lot of people from my school was trying to ask me like, why don't you, like staying, like paying more time and then going to better school like Harvard or MIT or other kind of school. Like if you delay like 1 or 2 years, you can absolutely apply to this school. But why didn't you do that? And most of the people in my school, they want to study abroad and they want to have a life there. So somehow like it became a trend. Like living in another country is a trend. It was not a choice anymore. It was a trend. But I never like really follow trend. I follow my own way of thinking. So I feel like okay, to some people going abroad and living there may be like the best option for them. But to me, especially in New York, I feel like my choice was that when we are young, we can push myself to a limit and we live as fast as we can. We burn out as much energy and create as much as value that we can. But to see it like for long term, I don't feel like life there would be a quality life for me. For example, you are very rich in Wall Street and you have a very nice house, you have very nice kid going to very good school, but then you still have to carry a lot of stuff and go into the subway because the traffic there was horrible and the pollution's a little bit horrible, and the line will always move fast. So I was like, it will not be the dream future that I want to have. And I want to create more values, not only receiving a good amount of income and then live there day by day. Like we don't even have time to spend it. Like if I work for Wall Street companies, and it will take maybe like 12 hours a day. And then I have to go to work like at 7 a.m. Like start going to work because traveling to work is kind of far and a lot of traffic jam over there. So it takes like a few hours to go to work, and then at late night, like 7 p.m. and then a few hours to go back home and burn all the best year of my life to create values to an America company. And then what else? Like, of course, I can create a huge amount of income, but to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'd rather live my life in the normal way, like with less income and have more people than having more income and have a very empty soul. I don't want that life.
And to contextualize, I guess, like people who graduate from business schools in general, I guess in Adelphi, they usually go to Wall Street, right? I mean, it's like their dream. Where does it come from when you say, I don't want to follow the trend? Were you always like this?
Because I think building self-esteem is pretty important, because to a Vietnamese family, you know, like a lot of people are judging your family. For example, even the neighbor, they're telling your parents, "Oh, your kid our kids has higher grade than your kids," for example, or they compares. But a very funny thing within my family is that my parents don't really care about the level, and they want us to really live with our true values. They want us to really go deep inside and find out what we are good at, so we don't compare to other people, because everybody has a strength and weakness, right? So why do we have to compare to people? And okay, I don't go to Harvard like other classmates, or I don't have 5 billion Vietnam dong in the scholarships, but it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that how you grow up, what kind of person that you will become, and how many values that you create, and how many people that you have. It's not a matter of comparing. It doesn't really make any sense to me.
Interesting. So, no, that's good. So it comes from. So you were always like this. So that's good. Yeah, but like coming from your parents. But yeah, I heard so many times these stories of Vietnamese family in the neighborhood who compare the kids. I mean, it must be so terrible. Okay. So no to Wall Street. You mentioned that. I mean, you quickly mentioned that you like 60,000 kids took your online course with ALIGO Kids. But you said it as if it was like so easy to do.
Yeah, we went to school actually. We went to a lot of school and we taught it the student right there on the spot. Like it's like online offline way of studying. So it's not only online. We also offer the offline teaching to schools.
So.
Because at that time I was kind of struggle with online platform because I was not a tech person. So, you know, like I have to admit that I was really bad at it, and then I kind of failed. But and then
which year? Which year was it?
2018. 2019, around that time.
Okay. But yeah, by 2018, yeah, anyway,
I
like I
didn't.
think there
Of
was
course,
not a lot.
I went to technology. I went to the technology class. I learned how to code, but then like because I was kind of slow at comparing to other competitors at that time, so I didn't really understand about how to solve the problems with tech. So I kind of like failed doing my first online platform. So I swear to myself that I never made that mistake again.
So you built your own first platform? It was in...
Yes. Yes, we built our first platform, but I didn't have the ability to manage it. That's how I can say.
What would you say? Like, okay, I usually ask this question much later, but I know what would be your advice to someone who wants to launch an online platform of anything, not
Actually,
to
now
repeat the
I
same
have to
mistake.
say, sorry. Actually, now I have to say that I'm not good yet, but at least I can find a co-founder who is good at it. So my happiness comes from there.
Okay. And so back then there was no co-founder yet who was good at it.
No, there was a co-founder, but he was not a full-time, and the second he has other problem that he has to care and other stuff that he had to take care of. So he was not like fully based on the project. So that was my if I can do it again, I think I'm not talking about the past because I can like fail at another thing like not.
No, it's not the past, it's the future. It's for everyone who's listening.
Yeah, so I still think that that's the best thing that ever that already happened for me is that I had to fail at that time to not fail again in the future. So I kind of satisfied.
So you kept this failure which helped you not fail the app of HASU. Right. Is it what you're saying?
I hope.
For now.
I'm trying my best.
Okay. No, but it's interesting what you say because I mean I have heard many times people who just say we'll just build an app and or whatever, and it will work directly. But there's just so many things that you cannot foresee, or like all what you said, taking care of the app or digital platform, which is very important. So yeah, guys, find a tech person. It's difficult to find a tech co-founder. Usually there are a lot of business co-founders and not a lot of tech co-founders who are available.
So one skill that I learned from that mistake is that I have to find a way to find as many good tech co-founders as I could. So yeah.
So I guess it became your, so you understood that you had to focus your time on this. But how do you, okay, a bit random question, because I heard many times from people who no, because then it's a lot about, I guess, leadership, right? Because I feel like in this right now in 2022, if you are good tech person, like everyone wants you, right?
Yeah.
So it's so difficult to find someone. Then you have to really make sure that they are aligned and good. And anyway, just to say, it's easy to say, but it's difficult to do. Okay, cool. So yeah, you did a lot of offline, online workshop 2018. Anyway, back then there was not really Zoom or stuff like this. So yeah, a lot of offline workshops. Do you remember your first workshop with ALIGO Kids? First offline workshop? How did you feel? How was it?
Actually, it was amazing. Like, I didn't really think that kids could behave like that. Like, they, they are knowing like more than we thought. They are really like acknowledged, and they feel a lot of stuff. And a lot of kids really stand out. For example, like our first training was with I think like 2,000 kids at the same time, like in a very huge schoolyard. And then, and then we asked a lot of questions, and we have games and activity that engage. And then a lot of kids, like they raise the hands and they really want to engage. And yeah, it was kind of weird. Like I didn't think that kids can engage in that kind of activities like that much. And I still remember there's a kid, and he tried to raise the hand for so many times, but it didn't come to his turn to join the games. And you know what he did? He just went straight to me. Like I was standing like far away. Like I was the one who just like stand there and see all the companies members working and engaging with the kids, and I was just standing like in the corner, and I was just watching like all of them, and then just watching. And then it was weird that he just go straight to me and then ask, why do I raise my hand so many times and I cannot be in the game? So can you put me in the game? I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. Like he find another way to achieve what he wants. And why did he came to me, like not other members of my of my projects, like who is out there, who is wearing uniform? I was not wearing uniform, but he really like seeing around the room, and he saw me like at the corner and watching all those stuff. And he saw like, I think because you are like the boss of other people. And I think he was in grade 3 that he was like 8 years old, I think. So yeah, I love the kids, and they're just amazing. And I don't really, I hope that they don't have to suffer, like, or there's anything that harm them, or else I'll be sad.
That's a future leader. Very entrepreneurial. Cool. Maybe just to close the ALIGO chapter. So ALIGO Kids, ALIGO Media. No, I really like it. Like that. When did you realize that the online cartoon book? Because first it was part of ALIGO Kids, I guess. When did you realize that, okay, this will become a new company? This can become a new company, and I will create a new company out of it.
Actually, we have a very strong team producing cartoon. And there were not so many companies in Vietnam that produce cartoon and good qualities. So when our cartoon is launched, and then some of the member of our team is pretty well known because they graduate in top school with highest level, and they even got scholarship to study abroad. So they already have connections before working for ALIGO Kids. And then one of the members, actually the leaders, he brought some connections to our team, and he say, what if we expand the service, not only like focusing in ALIGO only, but at the same time, like we can work on multiple projects, because we don't really like producing 100% of the ability. We only like stop at around like 40-50%. So we still have 50% of the time to do other things. So, and then we form another companies as an agency to provide the service to other companies. And by doing that, we had more income, we have more employee, we can afford like having more good people joining our team. So we benefit. So that's why we really end up with forming another company.
Yeah, it's so cool. For me, the best way to start a new company is starting it without knowing that, without actually wanting to start a company. But then there is a demand.
Yeah.
And it just becomes I really love it. Cool. So yeah, so then you explain the link between ALIGO and then the book and then HASU. So yeah, so you launched HASU. I mean, you explained already, but it was during COVID times. So far, you have, I mean, from all the articles I have seen, you have like 12,000 elderly people who used a HASU app. So it's really, really cool. Maybe, yeah, just to like come back to the start of HASU, because you mentioned it was not an app in the beginning, it was also offline. You always start with offline workshop. But yeah, maybe same question. Like, what was the first, I mean, you mentioned, like, yeah, do you remember the first offline training with the elderly?
The first, it happened quite a long time ago. Which one was the first? Like, we went to a seniors club and we just offer, what if we teach them how to use smartphones? And it would be nice for the clubs. So they were saying yes. So I did like kind of like 5 lessons at the same time. So I don't remember which one was first. And then, but the one that I remember the most was the one that we went to outside of the country, outside of the cities a little bit. I think like 50 miles to the north. And then we met like a seniors club, and then we are doing a lot of experiments, and we play games with the elderly people, and we film their reactions on stuff. For example, we are asking if they have deep knowledge about how to use Chrome's or Google or Facebook or even Grabs or other application. And the very funny thing is that they are using it in a way that we don't really imagine. Like, for example, I asked a female person. She's pretty old, actually. I think she's around like nearly 80s. And I asked her, can you Google this sentence? And then, she was just playing with Google Voice, and she was like she was literally like saying and talking to the phone. And then all the result came out. I was like, okay, they are really good at this. They're way better than we thought. And they knows almost all of the application that we asked, except TikTok, because TikTok was kind of new. But it was amazing, like how they use it, like how they can use smartphone. And when I asked them, do you know what Facebook is? And they were showing me like a lot of pictures, like they put on Facebook, and they was like, oh, I played Facebook a long time ago, like 8 years ago. I was like, okay, so it was only like in the countryside. It was not in the city. It was a countryside club, and people really like. An amazing thing is that in the countryside, elderly people have more time to teach each other how to use smartphone. And they are just using it, like a lot of people are using it. And if they have a question, they're just asking the peer. And there will be a person to answer. And they spend a lot of time on their phones. So
you were just showing up at the elderly club and asking them if they want.
We have to work with the club first, and then say so we are offering the free class, and they are really happy with it. and they even want to have the book to carry home and then read about it. So later we cooperate with Happy Age International to launch a training manual on how to use smartphone for elderly people. So we teach them from the basic on how to use the phone function and to use the application, to really install the application. And then we teach them how to protect themselves while using the internet, because a lot of people got scam and So that's one of our obligation, that we have to really teach the elderly people on how to protect themselves as well.
So back then, at the time, your plan was to just train as many elderly as possible on how to use smartphones.
Actually, that was not our intention. Okay. Our intention was to answer a question, can we bring technology to elderly people? And we are using all the surveys and all the classes as the method to combine the answers. So we make judgment on if we want to come up with a platform, or the solution that we come up with is what. And we are using those class as a method to answer the question.
Why did you want to answer this question?
Because to any startup person, problems come first, right? And the how comes second. So we are seeing the problems, and we are trying to find as many ways as possible to solve the problems. And we try to find out what is the best solutions that we can afford and offer. So that's the way that all the startup are established should be.
So the problem you identify is that elderly are not connected to the internet. So you wanted to understand why and see if the opposite was true, if they could actually connect.
Yeah, and besides, there are so many other questions. For example, what is their health conditions, and what are the age, and what are they we put on a lot of questions to identify. Of course, it's related to the problems. We had to find out what is the most serious problems. What are they concerned the most? And then from the problems, we came up with many other questions that we have to answer, like how can they be healthier? How can they be mentally better? How are they engaged with each other? How are they connect? How are they learn stuff? And how are they behaving with the families? And how are they feeling? A lot of questions that we put on the survey.
We is you and people from ALIGO team who were also interested in this?
Yes. Actually, a part of HASU team at first came from ALIGO team. So yes, we, by saying we, I mean some co-founder from ALIGO Kids, and then new person who later become my partners and my employees as well.
Another random question that popped up in my mind, but HASU, working with elderly comes from a very personal story of yours. How did you manage to bring people to your cause?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of my mission. If people don't care about it, I have to make people care about it. That's my mission, I feel like. Because one day, I still think that I'm really care about my parents and my grandparents. I really spend a lot of time with them. But to me, of course, it's not enough. But to me, I spend quality time with them. But I see a lot of other elderly people are not really lucky like that. So one of my mission is that if they don't care, I have to involve them. I have to somehow like tell them that you should care before you regret. Like, I don't want to regret in anything. I don't want to wait until my grandfather passed away and then I regret that I didn't spend time with him. Like, I don't feel like we should wait. So it made me remember questions from a student, a college student, asking me through an event like last year. She asked me, "What if you fail? Like what will you do if you fail with HASU?" And then like at that time I was like, "Oh, that's a good question." And at that time I started to think, and then I really come up with the question with the answer that I feel surprised that if you have a goal, like for example, if your goal is making $1 million or making $100 million, for example, and you can fail on that goals, or if you make it a mission and then you completely fail. If you make like money is and income is the mission, and then you're gonna fail, and it will be really hurt when you fail. But if it is something other than that, for example, our mission is that we have to make the elderly life better. There are so many ways in doing that. Even if we are not being successful with the app or with whatever, like if we fail in the company's business model, if we fail in this and that, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that when we keep progressing, we really have elderly people, even if it's by making young people putting more concern and care about the families and other elderly people in the society more, or even if it's by making other business care about providing service and products to elderly people like more, or investing in it more, or even if it's very simple, is that one day you wake up and you see a group of elderly people participating in an exercise online together, and it makes you feel completely happy. And then I feel like my mission is like partly achieved already. So I will never feel that I will fail in this project. Or the worst scenario is that if one day there is a competitor appear in the market and they totally kick me and swap me out of the market, and then I would totally be happy because at least I draw another competitor, another strong competitor who may provide the real values and in the better way than me. And then I don't really feel like consider me as a failure. So I will still move on with other projects and with another missions, maybe like smaller or bigger than that. But I don't consider that I will fail. So there's no reason that I have to feel bad. So people really have to think about what the mission in life will be, because it can affect a lot.
I think what you just said is such a great example, advice, I don't know, one of them. Such a great example and advice, because like my roommate always says this sentence, you need to fall in love with a problem, not the solution. Because so many times she have seen people who want to start a project, but they fall in love with a solution. And then if the solution fails, they are devastated. While in your case, you fell in love with the problem. If your current solution doesn't work, it's fine, the problem hasn't changed, you just find another solution. And you just keep doing this until there is no problem. And in any case, I think in your case, as social entrepreneur, I mean, we said like already 12,000 elderly used your like app training, etc. Even if you felt tomorrow HASU is, I mean, I hope not, but HASU is dead tomorrow, it will have still contributed to make the life of 12,000 elderly better. And this is not a failure. It's already, even if I know you want to achieve much more, but yeah, it's already, big. You already have done your part, and I know you will do more. So yeah, it's good. It is very refreshing to hear that. I forgot why we were speaking about it, but they're very, very inspiring. Oh yeah, okay. Okay. How long did this problem definition phase last for you? Trying to understand better the problem. How long did you do that? And how many, if you remember, how many elderly did you consult and speak with?
So I think we have to go back to the basics. At the time when I went to a business school, and they really taught us how to come out with the solutions. Like at first, everybody would think of a solution before thinking of the problems. So, for example, if there's a problems like outside, there's a snow. There will be a lot of snow. There's snowing outside. So in our mind, we are really thinking of the solution first. We can dig the snow and then just remove it. So that's the solution that we come out with. But it's in one of my class, the professor explaining that it's the wrong approach. We have to come up with the problem first, and then we try to come out with as many solutions as possible to solve the problems. There are a case that I love to use for the student when I went to school and give speeches. I always love to tell the story to the students. Was that there was a problems in New York City that we have to spend many hours a day on the bus because the street is very crowded and the distance is pretty far and the bus is always packed. So every morning when we wake up and we run to the bus stop and the bus just left, and then we felt like, oh my God, our day is ruined because we are coming to work late. And it took us 2 hours and a half to go to the office. It's a normal thing in New York City. And that is a problem. The problem is that the bus is always crowded and it is so slow and it can make we go to work late. And if we come out with a solution, and then it could be something like, we're going to make the app and then make the people booking the app, booking the bus stop, for example, booking the bus and buying ticket online. That's the solution that people may pop up in the mind first. And then if they do it, and they no guarantee that they're going to win, they're going to really solve the problem and they're going to really make it. But if they change the approach by coming up with as many solutions as possible, for example, there's so many solutions, they can take Grab, they can take Uber, or they can take Subway, or they can make an app that help people book online, or they can change the working hours. They can fight to change the working hours, or they can change the workplace, or they can, there's so many solutions that can come out with. And we have to come up with a list, and then we put the marks for each solutions. And we do a stage gate process. The method is called stage gate process. You can you search it online, and they can show you how how it's like, like a funnel, and you try to figure out what is the best solution. So there is a group of illegal immigrants coming from Turkey, and they came out with a solution, which is a brilliant idea, that they are buying like a 9-seat car. It's quite a limousine car, like with 9 seats, and they are following the bus. So if you are late, if you catch a bus late, and then 2 minutes later you can catch the other car, and instead of paying $1.75 for the ticket, for the bus ticket, you pay $3. You can still afford it, right? $3, it's not much, and it's a very minimum cost comparing to other solution like Uber. Uber can take like maybe $200, for example. So it's really cheap, $3, and you have a free seat. You don't have to care about missing the bus. You feel totally like have your own seat, so you space, right? And one bus, they established like two other cars following the bus, and they don't instead of stopping like 100 stop, they make it like 25 or 30 or even 40, but they cut off the time. Like, for example, that that car will not stop in some of the bus stop, and then it just goes straight there to the F train, or just go straight there to the Queen's state, and then you cut a lot of time. You don't have instead of spending like 2 hours, you only spend like 1 hour on the car. So you can see like that black car in every road in the Long Island in the US. So I think that is an incredible solution, and they're really smart. So still my advice is that come out with as many solutions as you can, instead of thinking of of one solution that you love. So of course we are doing, because I have all that knowledge in mind. So before, of course, I really want to do a platform. I really want to do something that connect to internet and then have a lot of people connect together. But I have to really like wave that idea out of my mind and come out with the problems. What is the problem that elderly people are facing? Like either if it's loneliness or health problems or technology capabilities, abilities, or if it's what. And then we came up with a list of judging questions, and then we come out to answer and then we mark it, and then we just create the solution based on what we collect. And at that time, I remember we interviewed nearly like more than 1,000 people, like 1,500 people, elderly people, and we come out with a solution based on that experiment and market research.
Okay, so that's a good good problem definition phase. 1,500 people. It's good. Cool. No, thanks for sharing the story, and it's good that you really followed the methodology. So you did learn something in business school.
Yeah,
in the
of
end.
Of course, actually, I graduated with a very high marks yeah, totally love it.
Always the best student.
School.
So yeah, would you like to share a bit about so from all of this, so you guys created the app, so it has the digital literacy component, mental health component,
physical, mental, social well-being.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's basically they have access to all this like videos, tutorial training from the app. It's made for elderly,
Yes.
Have you tried all the activities yourself also?
Oh, of course. I have to be the one who
Yeah.
actually all my projects members, they're using HASU even more than the elderly do,
Oh, really?
because it's not only helpful for elderly people, but we also provide the lesson like in the slower mode. But I think it's helpful to anyone, not only elderly people. Like
Okay.
yeah, like exercising, like it's good for us, and
Interesting.
meditations and a lot of stuff.
Okay, I was thinking that maybe all the activities, are tailored for elderly. Um, but actually, it's just activities that work for everyone.
No, elderly people is a bit different
Mm,
because they are easy to be harmed, like easy to like be sick, or their body is totally different. Like we can exercise their exercise, but they cannot exercise what we are exercising. So it's totally different. Like for example, if we do a very easy movement like this, if we for example, if we doing like we exercising with our neck, and then we just rolling it around, and then we feel totally fine if we feel comfortable with that. But to elderly people, it can break the nerves inside. So exercising is like we have to really pay attention on their exercise. They can easily go on YouTube and they search for yoga lesson, for example. But if they really exercise and they really apply that yoga lesson to their bodies, and then it can create the nerves breaking inside, or it can harm the body without knowing. Like it's not the so I think we are creating the app with the methods that even the kids can join together with the parents, but it's still tailored made for themselves. It's not made for everyone. Like you know what I mean?
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Cool. What are your exciting future plans with HASU?
So I usually I don't really talk about future easily, because it's the the culture in Vietnam that we don't really foresee to if it can bring like bad luck if we
Oh,
cannot do
really?
that.
Oh.
Yeah, but of course, like to all the investor and other audience, I still have to say that like personally, I really hope that we can come up with. Firstly, we have to achieve like better and better version for sure of HASU, so elderly people can easily like adapt, like even way more than now. Like we like in my mind, I imagine like one day elderly people can exercise with like we may use like VR in the technology, and create like a metaverse platform, so they can practice with each other and feel like they're socializing even if they're at home. So that's one of the things that I really hope that we can achieve with technology. And then we can come up with a lot of things, like hopefully our project producing a SIM card for especially for the elderly, and the smartphone for the elderly will soon come true. And in within this year, or the first half of next year, we hope that we can soon come out with an international version of HASU. So we can help more people, hopefully.
So we can all use it with our parents and grandparents.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. I mean, yeah, so HASU app is really actually just the first step, but you have all these big plans. I told you already, but I think the SIM card idea, and it's like so cool. Yeah, no, super exciting to hear all the future plans. I will share this episode to everyone in the Springboard team so they can, see how we can support. Cool. I took so much of your time already, so I'll just end with my 3 questions I always end with. Well, knowing that you told me you don't really speak about the past and future, but it's a lot of questions about the past and future. But yeah, let's say you can go back in time. You can meet Thuy Anh when she was at the Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam, and you can tell her something. What would you tell her?
Wow, tough questions. My gosh, I can't imagine that I had to really think about this question. Okay. I think I'm gonna just tell myself just be myself. Just be myself. That's the best thing that I can tell myself. Because, even right now, I don't know about 10 years later what I'm going to become. But at least right now, I feel totally happy with all the choices that I made during the last 27 years.
No
and
regrets.
I feel totally happy, yes, no regrets. Although still I have a lot of struggles, but I still feel like it's all worth it. Like everything happened for reasons. So don't afraid. Just go ahead and just like swimming in the sea. Like don't afraid.
Were you ever afraid at that time?
I always afraid actually, but when I was a kid, I really fear water because I nearly died like twice in the sea and in the pool. So I felt like my heart kind of stopped and my mind stuck at that moment. And whenever I touch the water, I feel I cannot make it. But then when I grow older, I feel like if I can't swim, and then how can I help other people? Like, will I be regret if one day like I go out there in the sea and I see someone who are who are like swept away by a storm or something, like who is in danger, and then how I could help? Like, will I just staring at them and then seeing them die like in front of my eye? Like when I was a kid, I used to see another kid like falling into the water and I couldn't do anything. And I don't like that feeling. And I will, forever remember the feeling of being useless, so useless, seeing other people in front of me. So I have no choice but stepping out of the fear. So the only way is that I have to face my fear, and then I have to jump into the water as many times as I could until I don't feel the fear anymore. So that's how I learned how to swim. And even now, like when I jump in the pool, like a very deep pool, I still feel like my heart stopping. But then I have to tell myself, don't do anything that you will regret. Just keep going and be brave. And that's all I can tell myself. And in every other things, I tell myself the same thing. And of course, going out there and doing something that somehow I feel like doing something that even never existed before. I'm also afraid. Like I swear to you, I'm always afraid. But that's how life is.
You don't really show it, I think. Do you share it with people, or do you keep it for yourself?
Share the fear, right? I don't really consider it's a fear. I consider it as the moment that I have to surpass and make myself stronger. after the struggle. So, like, if sharing can help, yes, I would share. But most of the time, I feel like all other people has their own problems, and they're still trying their best to overcome it. And that's what I can do as well. So I'm not alone. Like, I'm not the only one who are facing the fear, and everybody has a fear. Even famous people like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, like when they're heroes and the whole world is appraising and like spend the best words to describe them, but whenever they make a bad decisions, and then the whole world is gonna criticize. That's a totally like normal thing that everybody is facing. So what makes you really stand out and create values that you don't have to fear, because everybody has problems. You don't have to fear.
How do you want people to know you for and remember you for?
Actually, I don't really, in my end goal, I don't need people to remember me. I want people to remember what will be left, like the values that we are trying our best to create. And I just hope that it will, become something good inside a person or a community, a society. I just want people to keep that in mind. So it's way more important than having people remember about me. Like, I just need some limited amount of people to remember me, like my family, and only that. Like, I'm not the kind of person who wants to like stand out and be appraised by the whole world. I just want wants the values that we create still last longer and longer through the next generation. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
How? Wait, you must be expecting a super deep question, but no, actually, how can we? I know. How can anyone like support HASU?
I think everyone can support HASU by a lot of ways. Like, you just like regular people just go home and see how the parents and grandparents are doing. So that's a start. And then other business can, like maybe think of a way to invest more on the solution for the elderly. And we will always be happy to connect and support or get the support by any means. Like, we are really open to anything that can support the elderly community. And start the second, I think. And yeah, like I'm thinking of so many ways. Like, it's so huge. I mean, it's a very huge market actually. So many things that we can do. Like, so many things. Like, elderly people need a lot of things. Like today I totally freak out when I saw all the numbers and I saw it again. Actually, I knew it a long time ago, but I saw it again. There are so many elderly people, but only 1% of them has maybe a bed in the hospital that can be spent for them. It's so horrible. So we are running too slow. Why the elderly population is expanding so fast, and they need a lot of things like service products, especially made for them. They need, oh my God, they need a lot of things. So I really want to achieve just so many things, and the best thing that I really want to do is that to connect with all the companies together, and which may provide, because we are a platform, right? So we are not limited in the solution that we are provide. So we are like the third-party providers, and we connect with as many provider and service provider, product provider, and brands and organization as we could, to combine and then do something together for the society. So I think I think the answer is pretty broad.
So if anyone working with the elderly, contact you. Any VR metaverse expert, contact you.
Yes. Oh God, you are listing it out for me. Thanks.
And take care of your parents.
As well. Yes.
Yeah.
Investors,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Why HASU? What does that mean?
Oh, so coming back with the means of what it means. HASU in the Japanese, like we are choosing a language that comes from a country with I think one of the oldest on the country which has the eldest largest elderly populations. And HASU means lotus. So in our country, lotus has a lot of meaning. Like it's a symbol of very like pure. It's something very pure, something very clean, and no matter what the circumstance, they're coming out because they are growing from the pond, right? The pond is like kind of dirty, considered dirty, but they're growing very fresh and very pure. And they are just like that, like all along the life. So what we really want from that is that we want elderly people to be like, to feel peaceful, to be very pure, to be very, very calm and don't afraid of anything, no matter where they come from, no matter how life struggle would be. And they will always remain like positive and very pure as its meaning. And it always had a secondary meaning, is that lotus can be considered a symbol of Vietnam as well, and a symbol of culture, a symbol of something very old and ancient. And by giving that definition, it means that a person have to think of the family, like the parents, the grandparents, the grand-grandparents, and the generations, and even the country. So always remember that. And another meaning is in English, HASU means H stands for health, A stands for active, and S stands for strength, and U stands for unity and useful. Because all the elderly people wants to be useful and connect with each other and become like very unity. So that's the meaning of HASU that I want to share.
Cool. Thank you so much. And this is a real last question, and then we are done. How would you describe yourself in 3 hashtags?
3 hashtags? Oh my God, that's just another tough question that you are putting. Like the first one is that I'm always focused on humanity, like something that made us a human, like love, relationships, family, and the connection between generation, within the country. So that's the first. The second is that, oh God, it's so hard. Can we start with one?
So hashtag humanity. So it also works.
Actually, unity is another word that I really love, like coming from HASU. Oh, okay, another word is health. I'm still thinking about that. Okay, so unity is collaborations. Is another word that I really want to put in front because building HASU as a platform, that means we want to collaborate a lot. And we want to invite as many organizations, companies, and even individual together. And because I really believe in the strength of community, like only by sticking together that we can make it. Because I'm just a normal person. I'm not a hero or anything like that. But I'm just a small person. But within in the collaboration with other strong people, and then we can create something really amazing. And that's what I really always aim at. So collaborations is the second. And the third, oh God. So hard. Can we stop and second?
It's what you said already before, and then you found the second one.
Okay, because it takes some time to think. Because I don't like right now. I don't really focus on myself only. I'm focusing on the whole team and the whole, like the whole visions. Not only me. Like forget about me. I'm not putting me in here. So,
yeah, it's what I notice from this episode. Every time, you always, it's very cool. You always put vision, impact first before you. So it's
because I still feel like I'm nothing too special than other people. I'm just the one who just do it. Like thanks to everyone, like thanks to you, thanks to UNDP, thanks to a lot of partners, even thanks to Vietnam, thanks to the school that I went to. I really appreciate every single stuff that I achieved from, and I learned from other people. So I think we really should stop at 2.
Okay, we can stop at 2. It's all good. No, thank you so much. Really love this episode. Getting to know you more as well. Anyone you can contact Thuy Anh on LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere you will find her. There's so many articles about Thuy Anh anyway on Google, so you will find her. No, thank you so much. Really loved it. For me, the few things that I take away or I notice is, I don't know, like just how you put your impact and vision first, how everything you started come from very personal stories, and how you spend so much time really trying to understand the problem, and that's the way everything should be done. So it's good that you highlight it, and just your passion to make the life of elderly better. I think it's I work with youth, so I never work with elderly, so for me it's also something I don't really know about, so it's good for me to know more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well for this opportunity. Like, I really love it, like the conversations and everything. That by joining it, I really have a chance to review myself and to really come back to where I came from, and I think I had time to think about it, because when we work and then life just pass by, and sometimes we don't have time to think and review the past. So this is absolutely a great time for me, and one of the greatest time for me this week. So thanks a lot. It's really meaningful to me.
Congrats for listening until the end of this episode. Of course, to best support Lifeline, you can share this episode to 2 of your friends and subscribe to the next episodes on any platform. See you next time!